So let's get started. Welcome again to my returning co-host for the $1 Million Career, Craig Picken, president of North Star Executive Search Group. How are you today, Craig?
Good, Rob. What's happening today? Happy Monday.
Good, man. Yep. We're going to talk about the great regret. Now, not many people probably have heard of the great regret, but after writing and podcasting and YouTube and so much in 2022 about the great resignation, I was expecting there to be more regret somewhere down the road, and here we are now, the great regret. I read an article in the Wall Street Journal, had a conversation with somebody at a party I was at last night, a neighborhood party from a young Generation Zer about regrets. So I want to talk about that a little bit more. And really, the great regret started with people handing in their resignations during the pandemic and after, and many having second thoughts now. A recent study by Paychecks actually showed that 80% of the folks who quit their roles during this period are regretting their decision. So the great regret. Any initial thoughts on that, Craig?
Sheeple. Sheeple.
I love it.
The people following the herd.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of like, buy real estate. Everybody's doing it and never lose it. They're not making anymore.
Yeah.
So you get this bubble mentality, right? The herd just kind of starts going that direction.
It's like FOMO, man. We're seeing the same thing from big tech now. Big tech overhired during the pandemic, tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Sitting around running coffee machines, taking care of, vacation plans, all sorts of everything except work. And next thing you know, in November, I think it was, Meta announces 10,000 people getting laid off. And then Apple soon followed in, on Amazon and Salesforce. Now everybody in the tech industry is laying off 10, 15,000 people. It's exactly what you said, sheeple and FOMO.
Yeah. Well, it comes to this. It's like, look, people, I think they get a false sense that they're really good. And let me explain that. When you think, look, there are companies out there like, my focus is a lot of business aviation. And there's I get pretty critical of some of the OEM sales guys because they've got great brands behind them. They've got, expense accounts. They've got a business card that has an unbelievable brand on it.
Yep. And
all they have to do is go out and sell that brand. And there's only 3 competitors. And they start to think they're good. It's like, well, you got a great brand behind you and you got whatever, are you good or are you just okay with a great brand behind you? Great support, great. Right. But then I look at a lot of these airplane brokers that I deal with who are banging it. They're making, lots of money. I'm like, yeah, they're pretty good. So I think with the tech thing, a lot of layoffs now. A lot of those people that are getting laid off are getting jobs.
Yeah, right.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Realistically, pretty quick. They're getting their jobs pretty quickly. The engineers, software engineers, and the tech people. But all of a sudden, people started throwing stupid money at them, and they thought, "Man, I must be really good."
Yeah.
Well, But then I realized too. I read an article. Google, as part of their layoff, this just makes me sick. They laid off 27 full-time massage therapists.
Yeah.
And I think about 27 full-time massage therapists. Okay, it's $2.7 million, probably $2.7 million of salary plus benefits. So call it $3 million all in. For Google, not a big deal. But it makes me wonder how much more fat. That's probably just the tip of the iceberg, is the fat iceberg at Google. How much more fat is in that company?
How about all the people giving in facials? There must be a couple hundred of them or two.
It's just
chiropractors.
But you think about Musk. He comes into Twitter and he's auctioning off cappuccino machines, and they had the yoga classes and the yoga, and you're like, it's maybe the pendulum is swinging back to reality a little bit. And people go, oh, you know what, maybe I do have to put in 8 hours of work. So anyway, the great regret. Let's get back on the subject.
Are you seeing a lot of regret from some of the people you placed, or even some of the people you talked with over the phone about, jumping ship, not necessarily to just resign for the sake of resigning? That's more quiet quitting. I'm talking about people that have resigned to take a position solely based on money, like jumping ship for that big paycheck, because of what you said. Salaries and compensation has skyrocketed because of simple supply and demand. Are you seeing any people out there that are starting to regret, well, maybe I shouldn't have jumped just for the paycheck?
No, yeah, a little bit. But I think it was more it was more than a paycheck. I think it was like, they wanted to do great things. They wanted to do great things at, they wanted to do great things at the companies that they were going to. And, they just, maybe they're impatient and things are going a little bit slower than they were hoping to.
Yeah.
So,
Because what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing people, not necessarily that I've placed, but people that I've talked with that are, contacting me, incoming calls from people that resigned 18 months ago, 2 years ago. I'm finding those people that seem to be preoccupied with money and jumping ship, for the pay. They seem to be in a position now where they're thinking, not really sure I should have made the big jump for that 25%, salary increase, because now I just exchanged one set of problems for another set of problems, and I miss my colleagues, I miss my customers, I miss my clients, I miss my old boss, my old mentor. So they're starting to have regrets.
Yeah.
Are you seeing that too?
Well, it comes to this: the grass is not always greener. So there's a couple of things I talk about, when I'm talking to people about why they want to make a career move. One, are you running from something, or are you going somewhere? Are you running from something, or are you trying to get to a destination? We were talking about it a little bit ago. An executive, I've really just kind of scratched out of my head. I've known him a long time, and he just did something really dumb. I won't get into it, but I started scratching my head on the thing. I go, in all the years I've ever known him, he was never saying, I want to get to somewhere. It was always, I'm avoiding the problems.
Right. Exactly.
Like, all right, there's red flag number one. So for people who want to make career moves, it's, where do you want to get to? Is the next move that you're making taking you to the place you want to go? It can't be just about money. It's got to be, is it taking you to the place that you want to go and helping you, are you getting to it? Are you reaching your goals?
Yeah.
And that's the one, are you going to something? Or are you running from something? That's a question I ask people all the time.
That's big. I totally agree with that. You got to be running towards something. So let's talk about that a little bit. So besides money, what motivations do you typically look for, including, of course, somebody running to something? So Jim Smith is running to another opportunity. What motivations do you typically look at aside from money?
Well, I deal more in that, that more executive level rank. So it's people who want an equity. They want to go grow a business. Hey, look, I want an equity. I want to go to a place where the cash is okay, but the upside is really good. If I knock it out of the park, I can I can hit a home run. If I don't knock it out of the park, maybe I hit a single. I want people who want to go run businesses. I want people who want to go run sales teams. I want people who are, talking about taking a sales territory and just knocking the cover off the ball of it and growing it and becoming quote unquote the guy.
So it's more or less, you're looking for somebody who has that ownership mentality, wants to build and grow an organization, right?
That is exactly what I'm looking for, is, somebody who's got a goal, a destiny, a vision of what they're looking for in their head. If it's, hey, I'm a salesperson here. I talk to people a lot and they're like at Raytheon Technologies. I'm like, well, where do you want to go? Like, well, I want to go to Boeing, or I want to go to Lockheed Martin. I'm like, why? You're a director at Raytheon. You're a director at Raytheon Technologies, but now you want to go be a director at Boeing or Lockheed Martin. That to me is a classic. I'm just changing geographies.
Yeah,
Play. Exactly. There's nothing that you got big company and you want to go to big company and all you're doing is, shopping. It's,
let's talk about non-sales people, like operations people. You deal with operations people, right? Operations managers. So like, salespeople are always basically money driven. But do you see things like people seeking purpose? They want to work for a company that has a true mission, a true purpose. Do you see people looking for, professional growth, getting from VP to senior VP, or maybe it's intellectual challenge. People are just really smart and they want something more stimulating.
Yeah, no, I think the ops people I'm working with, I got a COO search I'm working on right now for a small company in Florida, and the ops people I'm talking to are like, yeah, I want to go help them grow.
Yeah.
The goal of the company is they're about $30 million in revenue now, and the private equity ownership wants to take them to about 60, and they want to do some mergers and acquisitions on the side, and they want to bolt on some stuff. And they're like, yeah, I want to go grow something.
So it's not necessarily professional growth. It's like they want to grow the company, not necessarily themselves, right? Or maybe it's the same thing.
They want to do themselves. They want to see what they're capable of. They want to, I mean, aren't you seeing some of that? Like, I got a CEO search. It's funny. I got a CEO search for a $7 million company, and it spins off cash like crazy. And the private equity owners have got a vision in this. And like, we need somebody who understands how to grow a small business.
Right. Yeah.
And I talked to some people, yeah, that sounds fun. It's fun. It's, $7 million and 30 employees, and they want to take it to a $20 million valuation so they can sell it. They're like, yeah, that sounds fun. I've already got some ideas in my head as to what I can do. But the people that I'm working, the people who need to jump, or who I'm talking to that want to jump, they want ownership of something.
Right.
It's almost like they just feel that their next step is, I got to own it. I want it. I own it. I'm growing it. I don't want the big bureaucracy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where you're going to a place where the grass is greener.
Yeah. Yeah. Ownership can take many forms too. Like with my clients on the insurance side, like even an account manager or a producer, I'm looking for the person who wants to extremely own what they do. So it's not really financial ownership, because they're never going to own the insurance agency. But I always look for people who have that ownership mentality. Like, I want to go in there and I want to own this department, and I want to grow, the property and casualty division from 2 million to 20 million, or a producer that says, I want to get in there and I want to own my book of business and I want to grow it by 30% a year. And then in 5 years, I'm going to be creating significant wealth for me and my family. So it's not necessarily ownership of a company, but yeah, ownership, I think, is an attitude. It's like when you extremely own something, like you mess up, it's my mistake. Those are the kind of people I look for.
So salespeople, what do I look for in salespeople? I want somebody who wants to go make $1 million.
Exactly.
That's it. They're like, hey, I want to go make $1 million. I can't do it here. Yeah. They're locked in some company that pays, pays them, whatever base. And then there's some bonus on top of it. And, it's a job. It's a job job. But then I know people that are like, look, there's this kid that I know named Hunter. And he left a company and went to a place where the base is low, but the opportunity is big. And it's like, never let security stand in the way of opportunity, right? It's he's like, hey, I want to go make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
Yeah.
He learned a skill.
Yeah. About half my business is insurance salespeople. So I get calls occasionally not all the time, because there's not a lot of good insurance salespeople out there. But when I do interview somebody, I usually interview them face to face, or at minimum on Zoom. And if they're going for a sales position, I always ask one question. And if I don't get the right answer,
Mhm.
the interview is pretty much over. And I'll look them in the eye. And if I'm at a table, I usually lean forward a little bit and I'll say, hey, what is the one thing that motivates you to be an insurance sales guy or sales gal? And if I don't hear, I'm motivated to make a lot of money,
Mhm.
or I'm motivated to create a lot of wealth, they're not a salesperson. So
Mhm.
salespeople, in a lot of ways, are a little bit easier to assess, because a good sales, individual, as you know, you deal with a lot of salespeople too. It's got to be money motivated. I'm thinking, right? Or am I
Well,
wrong?
it is. Yeah, but here's like, I'll use myself as an example. My goal every day is to build relationships with people I don't know, to strengthen relationships with people I do know, and be a resource and a value. If I build relationships, solidify relationships, and be a resource and a value, the money will come. You can't be thinking about things from, I want to go make a lot of money. It's the money is a result of doing everything right. So all these people, the tech workers, the great resignation, everybody that was quitting because the government money was so good. And they're like, I'm going to go do, life and, whatever else. Yeah, I think they probably are regretting their decision because, they quit. Now they're starting from scratch again. You think about the tech workers who all jumped, from Apple to Facebook to Spotify to whoever, to Twitter, and then the layoffs are coming, and they all thought, hey, look, I'll just jump. I'll stay 6 months, and I'll jump for $500 more, $1,000 more a month, and I'll just keep jumping. Well, eventually that merry-go-round stops.
Yeah.
And and you're going, oh,
Yeah. The other thing I'm seeing on our side, over on the insurance side, is a lot of people jumped because there was a lot of stupid money out there, like you say. I mean, most of my clients held the line, but some of them didn't. And a lot of my non-clients did not hold the line, and they just started paying people a lot of money. And I think a lot of those people now I'm hearing from are having serious regrets, only because, as you said, the grass isn't greener. But also what the pandemic did is it made a lot of people really reflect upon what's most important in their lives. And a lot of people are finally figuring out, what, it's not that big paycheck. It's about work-life balance. It's about intellectual growth. It's about challenge. It's about getting to that next level. It's about ownership in all its different forms. They're looking at the money now as like, what was I thinking about? Just changing jobs for a 20% increase. That's the regret I'm seeing.
Well, yeah, no, I think the same thing. And it's look, to me, it's all about continuous improvement. Your career is one aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And you always want to be improving yourself in your career. Otherwise you start to get bored.
Exactly.
And if you get bored in your career, it affects other aspects of your lives. It's kind of like your family, your spouse. If you get bored with each other, what happens, right? Boredom is the devil's playground.
Yeah.
So you're continually improving. You're going on trips. You're doing vacations. You're hanging with the kids, and you're getting involved with them, and you're trying to be a better parent, or the very best parent you can. So it's about, hey, look, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to be the best in my career that I can. I'm going to be the best parent I can. That to me is balance. And some people, you get out of whack. Like I am very. I work a lot. My kids know I work a lot, but they always know that I was I hung with them a lot too. My wife and I have been married almost 24 years. We've been together for 28. We have a great relationship. It's we know how to work it. You can't get out of balance so far. It's on the life side, and you can't get, on the flip side, you can't get so out of balance on the work side that you miss everything in between. And I think that's the great regret is people are like, screw it. COVID, I'm going to go move to a farm in Iowa, and I'm going to go work from home, and I'm going to go. All right. Yeah. Sounded great.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like you got an executive coaching career, Craig.
I might. I don't know.
Hey, so
Next thing in my life.
so my advice based upon all this, my advice to my listeners out there is, if you're considering jumping ship for a big paycheck, I think twice about it, because you're probably going to end up at the end of the road unfulfilled, and then you're going to have to do it all over again. That's my takeaway.
I think that I'll caveat that if you're jumping for a big paycheck, if it's a lateral move with more money, be careful.
Right.
Because why it's a lateral move, but more money, what's the catch, right?
Exactly.
But if you're moving for more money, but if you're, look, if you're in company A and you're tapped out, you can't go anywhere because your boss isn't leaving, if you're just hitting the ceiling and you're ready to go and you can do more, then go. It's like, I think that's the thing, is you got to look at where you're at. Are you tapped out at where you're at from a overall perspective? And is there a bigger playing field somewhere else that you can? And if there is, then look at that one hard.
And that's where those other motivations come in, like seeking challenge, seeking opportunity, seeking professional growth. When I talk to people that are looking for that, then all of a sudden that big pay increase makes a lot of sense, and they're probably not going to regret it. So excellent, Craig. So as always, I appreciate your perspective from all the big executives you're working with on the aviation side. Always appreciate your perspective. So how do people get a hold of you anyways?
Oh, just call me Craig at North Star or email me Craig at northstaresg.com. I'm all over the internet. Phone's 910-231-4037.
And man, I got to tell you, your LinkedIn posts are off the charts, man. Keep up the good work.
I
read them all.
Call it like you see it. As yours. I love your blogs.
All right. All right, Craig. Talk to you later,
soon.
man. Thanks.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. Peace.